right after he had met the band as well, and that was about 3 years ago. But it's taken us some time to really understand each other's sound, because everyone has completely different musical influences, and we grew up in all different places. Actually, only one person in the band is from New Orleans.
So who's in
And
charge
guess the
of
name of
this?
the band again?
The Crooked Vines.
Crooked Vines.
That's okay, please. That's fine.
So whose band is it now? Have you taken over the whole thing? And
Oh no,
kicked
no,
in
no!
with
It's a big collective. There are a couple people that we've delegated different kind of job. You want to touch on that, James?
As,
James, you're the
as
trombone
one of the
player
as
on
one
the
of the people that I think she's talking about that's delegated and been doing the delegation of tasks. I feel like there's a hair on this microphone tickling my nose.
There could be dog or
it
cat
might be
hair.
it might be
People
my
have
hair.
pay extra for that. In the quarter, it costs a lot.
Exactly, you're
more.
right. That's like a solid $50 extra. No, but as someone that is taking a lot of that, I did for a long time. I did a lot of booking for the group. Now we've kind of moved on from that. We have some people that are working with us, especially in the New Orleans area, for a lot of that.
So you have a booking agent now?
It's not really that kind of situation. We have what we would call, I would say, a manager that does some of that stuff for us in the greater New Orleans area.
You would
that is.
say a manager. What would he or she say?
Probably a manager as well,
So
but they're
you
doing
have
it
a
full.
manager.
It's a full service. It's a full service job right now for where we are as a group.
Well, that's
but
a pretty good development, right?
Oh, yes.
If you have a manager.
as like a
Sorry
as like
about
a
the cat hair.
No, it's
there, or
fine.
whatever it is.
As a
no, I'm feeling like it's all
as
over
a
my
yeah,
life.
you just feel it because I talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, it's like when someone starts itching.
But
So.
like down to the tour, like I booked most all of the tour, and that's something that is like it was really cool to see. Like Michaela said, the development of a project that you know is being successful, because you see people like. You see people respond to it, and it's a really interesting experience, especially in the city, because people, I don't want to call it bandwagoning because that has like a very negative connotation, but it really is that. It's like when people see something that they like and is good, they jump onto it, and it's a really amazing feeling to be a part of something that is doing that.
Well, could I also add, just from my perspective, like when we were talking about some of the changes happening in New Orleans, one of the great things that I think I've learned over the last 10 years is that this infusion of new ideas, whether they agree with me or not, has been great for the city. I mean, it's been revitalizing. And even though I personally might not like everything, I have to say the direction is exciting, the input's exciting. I think a lot of the young people who have come here to rebuild New Orleans, I mean, you've done an invaluable service for New Orleans. I mean, it is.
But these guys are like the people who used to move here. They came here for the music.
That's
There's a different breed you're talking
to
about
play
who are
double-
opposing your...
No. I think even the music, though, has been rebuilt by all these new ideas, these new visions, and your love of New Orleans.
I would say
it's changing with the way that music is all over the
wonderful.
world too, and how production and everything of it.
to play devil's advocate to what we were talking about earlier, we had talked about the negative things that come along with social media and all the ability to have your own voice and do
Right.
that. But a lot of people always gloss over the opposite side of that coin, which is the amazing part about that you can have a voice.
Yes.
Like everyone can have a voice and say anything they want and say the things that make them feel like they need to say those things. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a huge part about, I think, what brings people down here to help, like you said, rebuild, to help continue the culture, to help do something like that. And what we talk about a lot as a band is not necessarily being a New Orleans band, but being a band that is from New Orleans. We're not a New Orleans act, like it's not really our thing, but bringing that influence along with us, and also the love for the city and the dedication that we have to this environment that we all love and appreciate so much, that has done so much for us as musicians, as people, is the infinite plus side of all of those negative things that you were saying earlier about the social media movement.
Oh, well, like you said, the social media can be a double-edged sword. It also can promote. Like, you can just show a clip of you guys, and it's out.
It's helped
And
us
it's shared.
so
it's
much.
like to millions, instantly.
Oh,
And,
we have thousands
know,
of views on videos that we would have never been able to do had this happened 10 years
Right.
ago. Had this happened even
I was in a
8
band
years ago.
growing up here. I was in a band in high school.
What was
so
it
we're
called?
talking like the Singles. We were horrible. We opened up for a very popular new wave band called The Cold. And
Oh, God, I
remember
love
The
The
Cold?
Cold.
They were
Oh, my
from
God.
here.
I wanted to be Barbara Menendez.
She was one of my childhood friend. Her brother was my
awesome.
best friends. He was a drummer in the band. We used to open up for them. We played, write our own stuff, and played something.
What did you do, Brian?
I played keyboard and lead singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Can you
but
still play the keyboard and sing?
I can play a couple of chords. I can
Okay.
still sing.
Okay, we've got a
I can
keyboard
Still
right here.
sing.
So we got a
I can-
trio
let's
going
do
now.
it.
Is what
No,
I'm
you
hearing.
know I sing.
I know you.
I do Broadway musicals, for God's sakes. but doing that back then, you had to have flyers on all the
Posts.
telephone poles and
Right,
everything.
right,
like
right.
try to get anyone to see you. And
now that's
now
illegal.
So quick, I know. Exactly. So now,
I know,
But
I hate
instantly,
that.
you can get out there and get the word out and get your message out quickly, or and in a clever way.
Oh, yeah.
It also does. makes you think. And what's my hook? How can I get someone's
Right.
attention? You really have to tap into that.
That's
you know?
really where my main position with the band has come in. Is I run all of our social media accounts. So something that I don't usually broadcast to a lot of people, which I guess I'm broadcasting to as many people as possible right now. But that's something that we talk about a lot, and I talk about to the band a lot, is creating the persona of what we are, because
Yeah.
that's just as big as us as individuals, or us as musicians, or us as a collective in general. Because now, like you said, anyone and everyone can have that insight to you immediately. So there's a chance that you might be, like as before, we talked about this on the tour as well, but as before, having the right ear to bend about your music could easily be like get you in or out. Whereas now, you have a billion ears to bend
Right.
at the click of a button, you know, and that's
Right.
and that's
Sure.
the way that
What's
that's the way
And
that-
with that, you have to know how to catch their
Exactly,
attention
and
to what
understanding-
works and what doesn't.
understanding
What
their
are you
way.
What are you trying to do?
Rule the
Be
world.
famous.
That's
right?
exactly rule the world.
Yeah,
Yes.
that-
Are you trying to sell records? Are you trying to get people to come to your show? I mean,
I think I'm the planner of the group actually
He has
too.
so many
I have so
plans.
many plans,
Good.
but
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
No,
But,
it's a great
Brian,
thing.
would you say that's a good thing to start off?
You've
And you're the
gotta
most
have a-
successful person in
You've
show
got to have a
business.
plan or a goal or a dream. I hate to sound like Pollyanna, but but you do. You can't, you know. And some people go aimlessly through life and wonderful things happen, and some people go aimlessly through life and crap happens. If you
That's
have
most
a
of
goal,
us.
if you have a goal, at least it's something to strive towards and work towards. I'm a firm
Well,
believer in that.
okay, well, you're super famous. You're a famous Broadway and television star.
In my own mind.
Award
Yes,
winning.
well, in a very small circle.
Thank
I
it's
did
true.
walk in today and
You've
say,
been-
"Who is that guy? I know
You've
him."
been a star on Broadway. You've been a star on television. Did you plan any of this, or do you
I
just?
did plan. I studied. I worked. You know, I went to New York right out of college. Studied and took classes, and I beat the pavement down and went to every audition I could get into, and worked very hard. And you know, the Mad Men happened totally by fluke. It was just. I literally turned down my first audition, but I actually went in and I didn't care. I was in the middle of rehearsal for a silly play off Broadway, and I went in on my lunch break, and I didn't care because I never booked television. I gestured too big, and I'm too broad. And I was just tired, and I walked in red, and thank God I didn't have to jump through hoops for the network because it was their first, you know, drama that they were doing on this basic cable show, and the director and creator liked me, and that was that. That doesn't happen all the time, but I was in a place where I could walk in and be calm enough to, you know, read this. I'd be put on tape and then do it.
We were already a successful
Yeah,
stage.
they don't care about that.
No, but you.
TV
but
and
you
film
do.
people do
Different
not care like
worlds.
Broadway,
Right,
whatever.
right.
You know, please, I was in Cats. You know, that was one of my first jobs. I mean, really, claw paw. You know, it's anyway.
What was that like being in Cats?
I was the biggest pussy on Broadway. It was, you know, it was fun.
Because you're part of a sensation.
part
I
of
mean,
it.
Really? I
It
mean,
was- I
history,
wasn't
the
the original-
longest running show, right?
I was not the original company. I was like later on.
It all
But it
counts.
was fun. And one thing leads to another. And that's what I was trying to say, not in a good, but didn't come out right. You never know what, like when you play one gig, you never know who's going to be there.
Oh, for
You
sure.
never know who's going to talk afterwards and tell someone. And like same thing with acting and theater and being shows. Where I always, you know, if people ask advice, and I just say, do your job, show up on time, be prepared, do the best you can, and don't fish off the company pier. You know, don't, you know. A friend of mine, he was one of the actors in Mad Men. He wants to write when he writes his book, it's going to be called "Don't Screw Juliet," because he was on tour and he had sex with the girl playing Juliet, and it like messed everything up. So you have to play Romeo and Juliet for the rest of the year,
with-
opposite someone
yeah.
that hates you. You know, so-
Yep.
but
Now that's
well,
acting.
But like, you know, with you know, our store, you know, Hazelnut on Magazine Street, when you were saying about social media, I reluctantly, you know, there's friends of mine said, you have to get into this. You have to do besides the web. We have the website. You have to do Facebook. You have to do you know, Instagram and all this stuff,
yeah.
Twitter, all this stuff. And it was also when I wrote my books. The press people from Random House said, you must. And it wasn't like we think you should. No, you have to.
No, you have to.
You have to. And it's sort of like pulled me along into, you know, the 21st century, and it is interesting and it's different, and I'm
do
enjoying
you
it.
do your own social media, or do you have someone like Sharon's company to do?
I do a lot of my own personal stuff, and it bleeds off into the business. We do have
Do you have someone?
one of our associates
Right.
that works with us, and that's what she, besides working in the store, we're a small little gig, you know, it's a small little shop on Magazine, you know.
But it's been there for 13 years.
13
14,
years in
that's
October.
fantastic.
We're moving 4 doors down to double the space. So
You're expanding.
yeah,
Congratulations.
expanding.
Do
yeah.
people come in the store expecting to see you?
Yes, they
So,
do.
yeah. So you have to be there.
No, I mean, if I'm in town and I'm not working on a film or out of town doing a show or something, I am there, and it's funny because they're like, you really work here, right? And I'm wrapping packages, porter with a mop, ripping down boxes, doing whatever I need to do because that's
Do you
it's also my
enjoy it?
business. I do.
Would you give up all the acting and everything and do that full
No,
time?
I'd rather do the acting. Trust me. People say, "What's better, film or stage?" And I said, "Are you kidding? Film is so much.
Really, you like it better? I would think
No,
you'd
no.
love the live audience.
I love the live audience, but an 8-show a week schedule is
Yeah.
grueling when you think about it. And everyone goes, "Oh, you only do 8 shows a week," but it's pretty. You start preparing around 6, and then until 11, your energy is focused on that, and it's recreating that show every night, making it seem like the first time. And then matinee days, it's double. So, but it's doing the same, but. You only have one day off sometimes, and then with film and television, you usually have the weekend off, and you're not called all the time unless you're like the big star of the movie. When I was on Mad Men, if I worked 3 days a week, whoo, that's a big week. I mean, and they're paying
And it's
you
paid
for
more
this.
as well, yeah.
And the money's better, but there is nothing like a live audience. You know that.
course.
Can I ask you, did you go to school for theater or
Yes.
for performance?
Yes,
okay.
I did. I mean, in retrospect, I should have gone to a conservatory. I didn't know that this is really what I wanted to do when I was.
What did you think you wanted to do?
I thought I was just going to stay in New Orleans and be a lawyer and do. I know.
Did you go to law school?
No,
Well,
no.
that would
I
have
mean,
been very
when I did
difficult
my
to
first
feel.
play at Le Petit, I went, okay, this is it. This is it.
Well, I
You know,
mean, he has a brother who's a politician.
my brother's a
I know your
politician,
brother,
and we
Jay
are polar
Batt, was-
opposites.
And
Really?
I
Yeah.
have to confess, Brian, because it's Wednesday, and the Pope wants us to do confessions.
Oh, okay. What's because
Because
Your
Wednesday
brother
it's good on my cup.
hated me.
Really?
I think he likes me now.
I don't
mean,
think
he
he-
tolerates me, but he
Yeah.
So-
hated.
He's
so
a big business
Sharon,
guy.
you're in politics as well. You've been representing people in politics to get people elected.
Yes.
And Jay, your
Yes.
brother, was
Right.
was a
He was a
city
councilman.
Was a councilman.
Yeah.
And he was a lawyer before that. Has he gone?
No,
back
no,
to-
he's not a
No.
lawyer.
Well, he's a businessman.
Businessman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bat means business.
Ran
Right.
a
Remember
clothing
that?
store. Ran a
Yeah,
clothing
Joseph Banks.
store
He has a
here.
bunch of Joseph Banks all
Oh,
over.
he has
Yeah.
Joseph
Yeah.
Banks too.
Very
Okay, so he's
successful.
not a
Yeah.
lawyer at all. So that's what he does now. So
Right.
he's in the clothing business,
Yeah.
really. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he got.
Entrepreneur, he has other
Entrepreneur,
things.
yeah.
So he was a Republican.
Yes, big in the Republican Party.
Yes.
How do you get-
Okay,
how do you-
please
in New
not
Orleans?
talk-
But
What?
still,
I was just
yeah,
gonna
he's
say
still
the
a
same
leader in the
thing,
state
yes.
Republican Party.
It is, one of the thorns in my paw. It's
But how do you
we
get
just
elected?
have to agree at family functions not to
You
discuss.
just don't go
stuff.
politics.
He keeps on telling me, it's like he was the best man at my wedding when I married Tom. He loved. He's like, I don't.
Well, he's open-minded enough to go to a gay wedding of his brother, and
yeah,
you
and
know,
support
so
same-sex
that's
marriage
cool.
and all this other stuff.
It's
I'm like,
not
why
totally
isn't your
Republican.
party on board with this? What century are you living in? Move
Well, that-
forward. What are you? What I don't know why everybody's afraid of letting everyone have the same joy and the same rights as everyone else. I don't understand
don't
what people
understand
are afraid.
it either.
How does it diminish? If I have something wonderful, I want to share it with somebody. I see a great show. I'm like, oh my God, you've got to go. We were just talking about Hamilton. I'm
Right.
like going on how great it is. I want everyone to enjoy and have the best possible life as possible. Why does anyone want to deny someone something wonderful?
Or something as simple as holding the hand with the hand of
Yes,
someone you love. I
yes.
don't understand why that's
Yes.
offensive to someone
Yeah.
to see.
Well, the Supreme Court agrees with us all now, so I wouldn't
Exactly.
worry
I wish
about
everyone
that.
thought
Yeah.
that.
You know, so we're past
No,
that
it's just, I
point.
was
We
just
make
staying up
progress.
late last
You have the
night
law
on
on your
Facebook. I
side.
have to get off the Facebook with a friend of mine in Arkansas. The kid is suing the school and
What?
because he wanted to bring his boyfriend to the prom and they wouldn't let him.
I
and-
was still doing all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
absurd.
And it was because it was a private Christian, which it really wasn't, if you can look up the word. They were saying, it was a private school. Some of the people saying, well, he should have stuck to the rules. That's the rules of the school. I'm like, okay, A, the rules are wrong. B, when rules are wrong, you change them. Let's look at historically how many rules we had on the books that are wrong. Slavery, there's
Right.
tons of them, And finally, someone got the handbook from the school and read and basically supported. It said, they will not be intimidated by sexual preference and all this other stuff. And basically, I said, okay, end of story. The school said it. They're contradicting themselves. So.
But this is never ending. This sort of.
Oh, I know.
I think it's one of those
There's-
things to me. The way I equate it is just the heterosexual white people have been in the VIP lounge for way too long, and they're not ready to open up the ropes yet. And that's the problem is that with a lot of people, and not to say that it is a cross generational thing, but I feel like we're in a phasing period where I think we're going to really start, because it seems like everyone as someone who's a young person in the scene right now, I feel like everyone that's around me is, I guess, what they call a liberal now, but someone who supports rights for everyone the same.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's I see all
guess I am.
I see all this stuff on social media, and I see all this stuff about all the negativity, and it's just like, who's doing all the people I know are very, and it's just like, it makes me, like you said, it's very sad and unfortunate that there's still people out there that are perpetuating that kind of ignorance.
It depends what you're taught. I believe it is all taught. I do. Although some people are more receptive. Their genes are more receptive
And
to.
it's also about power. And
Yeah, oh,
power,
yeah.
people don't give up power just
Right.
because you're nice.
So I mean, not opening up the ropes to the VIP area very easily,
And that's
So-
why they have them. I'm Steve Rebell. You can't come in Studio 54.
Exactly.
Were you in New York in those Studio 54 days back then?
No,
I was.
You were, Sharon.
Loved it.
I went once. I went once.
Are you from here originally, Sharon? Or are you
I
from New
am,
York?
but I had.
You went to New York in the...
I went to New York a lot in the 70s and 80s, and
So what were the best drugs you were doing back then?
okay, this is the really sad thing, and there were a lot of people who still don't believe I never did drugs. I was never a drug user.
You never did any of those drugs in Studio 54 like
I am
everybody
a
talks about.
caffeine and chocolate girl.
I think my question is, where was the best
Nothing
house
wrong
music?
with that.
What's that?
Where was the best house music?
House music.
I love Danceteria.
I love
Oh my
Danceteria.
God!
Oh my God.
OMG,
What?
Madonna
Th-
at the door.
yeah.
Deborah, what's her name?
Harry? Deborah
No,
Harry?
no, the one that's best friends with Madonna, and she's.
So you went to
She's
the
in the
same clubs as
HBO.
Madonna back in the...
She was not famous then.
She was not.
Right.
And it was.
Deborah
you know-
Mazer.
did you-
Deborah
Deborah
Mazer,
Mazer.
even better looking than Madonna.
They were.
Did you know
It was in
Madonna?
It was in the warehouse district. Where was it? In
It
the
was like in
Midtown,
the. Well,
right?
it was called like the
In the Bowery.
Alphabet City area down
It was,
there.
it
Then
was,
it
all
was
this-
really
every floor
There
was a
was-
different
trashy.
type of
Yeah.
music.
There was area and
Yeah.
Danceteria. What was
Area.
it?
Remember Area?
Yeah,
Area's
but I
too
didn't like
swank.
Area. I was a Danceteria girl.
Area was kind of modelly and it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I loved how
It
the
was- it was-
design
it
of
was-
it because
yeah.
it was
Well,
kind of cool.
one of
But
them, they
Andy
changed
Warhol
the themes.
hung out
Oh, you knew
at
him too?
Danceteria constantly.
And remember the
And
name of the
it-
rooftop during the summer?
I don't remember that.
Wuthering Heights.
Okay.
They shot Legobo's lights on all the water towers of all the surrounding buildings,
Oh,
all
wow.
different colors. And it'd be some different act. There'd be like a crazy
It was
accordion
really
player
cool.
on the roof and strung
awesome.
lights. It was wonderful.
But New York at that time in that area was really trashy, and people were squatting in buildings.
And it was expressive too.
It was,
like
yeah, very
this new
artsy
music was
and-
coming out. New
the
wave was
same
on punk.
awesome.
That's why I
thing.
asked that. Is like that time in New York was supposed to be like the greatest time to ever
was
live
fun.
anywhere.
Well,
like the
people might,
development.
the
there's certain
20s
people.
might be, but we weren't around for that.
But the same thing happened in New York that's happening here. That it all got bought up.
Gentrified.
Oh gosh, it's
People-
all every
people
corner's
with
a
money.
bank or Dwayne
So,
Reed.
okay, so where do all these people get all this money from? It
I
used to be
don't
No,
New
if
York
someone
City
could tell
used to
me,
be
I'd be
half.
so happy. Hire me. I want one of those political jobs that you sit at and people pay you and you get caught and you get written about for not doing anything.
A
I
consultant.
don't
I have
know.
never found
I
those.
don't
Isn't
think
it-
Elizabeth.
I was about to talk
was
to, talk to Elizabeth Warren about
yeah,
that.
I don't think she's going to be too keen on that.
She was just talking some smack to Wells Fargo. I saw the other day.
Wells Fargo.
That's a great story. We got bigger problems than Wells Fargo, though.
Yes, we do.
What happens now? You're a political consultant, Sharon, right? So this is what you do for a living.
Right.
This is what you do for a living every single day for the last X number of years.
It is a big part of my business.
Okay,
yeah.
so what is the deal? What is the chance of Donald Trump getting elected
good.
president of the United Very good.
Very good. Yes.
And
Everybody should be terrified and
when
make sure
should-
they go vote. And let me tell you, to me, having worked on trying to elect women to non-traditional positions for most of my life,
Non-traditional. President is pretty traditional.
and non-traditional is pretty non-traditional
having-
for a
yeah.
woman.
For a
Oh, that's
woman.
called non-traditional.
And you have to
Oh,
realize
because
for
it's
a
the
woman.
sort of thing that a woman doesn't get elected to
Right.
normally.
And so you
Okay,
have to
I'll have to give
remember
you
that
that.
women have only really been voting and then running for office recently. So it's not. It's
Okay.
so.
Well, you make your point, and then I'll ask you: does anyone care that Hillary Clinton's a woman or not? But
They do. And
They do.
I think
I
the
think
people
people
who write the
Do they?
checks really would rather be in the room with anyone other than a woman.
Are you
Especially
serious?
a strong woman like Hillary. Yeah.
I think a lot of men are very, very turned off and very emasculated in a way they allow themselves to be by a very strong woman. There's these, I don't know if it's mommy issues or
I
whatever.
think it's the same thing he was just talking about that VIP. You're not ready to let anyone in except
Yeah.
for the people who've been there for so many years.
I'd say I totally agree. That's the one part of that, the caveat to everything I was saying before, all the people around me being progressive people mostly. But I've actually heard people say, well, I'm not going to vote for a woman.
For a
It's
woman.
just
I'm-
like,
You've
and
heard
it
people say
terrifies
that.
me
What?
because I meet
This
people
is
that
people in Pinckneyville said that, or
oh, well, I mean, I know some people there as well, but people around here as
Yeah.
well that I'm
people in
associating
New
with.
Orleans
It's
just
like,
said they're
well,
not going to
this-
vote for.
it's just a woman. It's like,
But
why?
think about this. In 2008, she was primed then to win. She was probably the most qualified candidate then, and we traded her off. Right? We were rather the minority. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. That was obviously groundbreaking and an important
Right.
move too. So I don't want to diminish that. But on the other hand, I think look at the polls right now. It's pretty much a dead even race.
Do you think
and there's no doubt who would be the better executive.
Exactly.
No doubt.
I pray. I mean, deep down in my soul, I would like to believe that a country that elected an eloquent, intelligent, wonderful black man twice by large margins, they're not going to elect this,
Well,
But you know,
Sharon
the
says
pendulum swings.
Yeah.
And,
You know,
and you
But
never know
how
because I know a
far?
lot of people are so against Trump, but also don't like Hillary, and so they're like, "Well, I'm just not going to vote," and that's so
Oh, that's,
scary.
what, I said this to someone else the other day. I said, does your dislike for Hillary, or the fact she's a woman, trump, forgive the pun, your love for country? I mean, for do what's right. Okay, you don't like the choices, but one is obviously a detriment. You can dislike whatever you want, but one is obviously. I mean, I have never seen that kind of language coming out of any political, in public
Everybody's
forum,
shocked.
Professional
calling
adult,
for
really.
violence.
But you
I mean,
know,
he acts like a child.
so much has been on the table with Obama as president in the sense that I think, like even some of the things we're seeing right now, I kind of equate to, like in therapy, like a big national
Are you in
primal
Are you in
scream.
therapy?
No, but I
Okay.
mean, it's something therapeutic, and as ugly as it is, it's something we all have to go through.
Do you think it's a big
it's like
screw
when
you to like people are going, oh,
I certainly have been in. I've
yeah.
been in therapy before, and when you're in a group and
Yeah.
you're letting out all your anxiety over your parents or growing up or whatever it is, we still need to talk about our anxiety about slavery and hatred and the
How does
awful things
how does
we've
this
done.
play into Trump versus Clinton?
Because I think sometimes when you have a candidate as groundbreaking as Obama was, a lot of times the forces that thought, oh, well, it won't be that big of a deal for me to have someone who doesn't look like me, act like me in office.
Right.
And it is, it's threatening. And so all those people swing to the other side. And so a lot of times you may move forward and then you've got to move 2 steps back
Oh, so
to
you
move
mean
forward again.
the penance that we pay for electing a black man to the presidency
Maybe
is now
to electing Donald
we
Trump?
have to go back
Swinging
10 steps.
polar opposite, yes.
A lot
and
of
then
times
elect
that
some
happens.
sort
the
of
food chain.
Wow,
I've
that's
seen,
an
I've seen
interesting
that
theory.
happen locally. When Dutch Moran was elected the first black mayor, he was routinely hated and accused of all kinds of things.
What year was that?
That is 1978.
Yeah.
And he served 2 terms. And by the, once he left, people loved him. They realized he was not an awful person,
Well,
but
we've
he
got
was
to this
just
point with Obama now
I
too.
feel like
that's
that's
He
right.
doesn't seem so
much
bad
of the
compared
attacks
to-
are unwarranted, but there's a fear there that people can't verbalize. All they can do is say it in the most awful ways, but they won't admit that what they're really reacting to is
Okay,
their
so as a
fear.
political consultant, if you were one of these people who were getting overpaid to give people advice, what advice would you give Hillary at this point to save the country?
Wow. I do feel like Hillary has probably aligned herself a little bit too much with the incoming administration. There's a lot
You know,
of
with the
things.
current administration.
Yes, I mean the current administration. There's a lot of things I think in foreign policy that she obviously didn't agree with.
Well, she was a Secretary of
President.
State, though, because she
was,
said
and
she can't run away from that.
She left, and I think there was a disagreement over what to do in Syria in particular.
So you think she should come out and say that? I didn't agree with Obama.
I think
But
there's
I
on
was
some things she
hamstrung.
needs to be a little bit more honest that she didn't. And I think that the truth is that the country is divided over some of the things that have happened. And her almost aligning solely with, I mean, even her logo, which is a move along the side, it's not a move up.
I mean, this arrow.
Yeah, this arrow
Oh,
that
that's
just moves
interesting.
to the. I think for some people, even supporters of Hillary, that's not what they want. They don't feel like we're going just to the side is good enough. And I
Well,
think
So are
We've-
you saying pre or post election that she needs to come out and admit that she disagreed with some of the
I think she
administration on
just
those
in
issues?
her
Post-election
in
will
her-
be a little bit late, James.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that, well, obviously. I mean, I'm just wondering how
Post-election
that
will-
affects the opposite side.
I think also she really hasn't gotten. Right now, I feel like she's not getting her message out. Of course, it's important at this point to attack your opponent, and then you move towards love. You know, your
Okay, so
your
she's
story.
been trying with the "we can't elect this guy, is dangerous. You've got to have some common sense and elect me," and that's not working apparently.
It's not.
So what? Should,
It is not.
So just coming out and saying is just going to be enough. Just coming out and saying, "I don't agree with Obama," and that he was
I don't
wrong.
think that's the key.
So
I
what's,
just think
there's
that
got to
she's
be
probably,
one moment.
I
She's-
think
I
these
think-
people are so they're so blinded by everything that these Trump supporters. I mean, like he said, he could step out on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone, and it's still support. I have people that I know that are intelligent lawyers in the city that said to me, I would vote for a chimpanzee before I would vote for Hillary Clinton, which I thought, well, you might be, you know, and that makes.
Right.
I'm sorry, I
That's
should not
the-
say that about
But I
chimpanzees.
do think that, you know, I think with Donald Trump, unfortunately, as much as I hate his little talking points about building a wall and keeping out all the Syrians, and you know 2 or 3 things that he stands for. And unfortunately, when you think about Hillary right now, I think you know she's against Donald Trump. And I think you know that she thinks that we need to keep going forward. But what does that mean? I think, you know,
So what you're saying is
there's
she
that-
doesn't have 2 or 3 things you can say. This
well,
is
like
why I'm going to
Bernie.
vote for
Bernie was free health care, getting free college, right?
Right.
I think Hillary's not done a great job of just saying what makes Hillary
I
Hillary.
totally agree.
I don't know, but I agree, but also I think she's also for mostly equal rights for women, and
Yes.
you know, and a lot of things. She's been quite vocal
The
about
reason-
that.
I don't- I wouldn't
But
say
this
it's not
free
about Hillary.
college, I mean, free
But we
college.
know that about Hillary.
Can we get on it this time? I mean, I really enjoy because I found that very interesting that free college is all that. So I never really agreed that what I learned in college really. I could have gone to other schools or other forms of education. I could have gone to an acting school and gotten what I needed to succeed. I
But
wonder.
you knew it somehow involved schooling. I mean, in Louisiana, we still believe if you go to the 8th grade and you graduate,
Well,
it's awesome. You know?
But what about technical schools? What about these? I mean, I would like to. Not everyone can or should, this is just my opinion, go to college. I mean, and from every social and economic level.
In
I know kids that are
Louisiana,
at
though,
Newman that should not
we
be there.
need to really focus on not just K through 12, but at least like K through 14.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
2 years of a
people
technical
need to
vocational
realize
school.
that-
And
yeah.
I think men and women in schools should have shop and home ec.
economics, yeah.
Both men and women.
Totally.
I graduated. I didn't know how to do a load of laundry. I still can't sew on a goddamn button. I can't sew on a freaking button.
Okay.
What the hell is that about? I can't balance a checkbook.
Have you thought
I
about-
can't make a meal.
Have you
I
thought
can't
about-
make a
you
meal. I
can't
take that
cook?
back. I can cook a little bit, but these are life skills that
That would be
unfortunately
good to learn
no
in
one's getting
school.
it at home. But
Well,
they
have you
used to
thought
teach
about
it in
have
the
you
schools.
thought about running for anything?
No. No,
What-
I'd rather
what-
bathe an old lady than do that. Yeah, that is not fun. You know, no one likes you, no matter what. It's like being the quarterback for the Saints. No matter what, they go, "Hey, you could have done. You should have punted it." You know, everyone's going to have a better opinion. Everyone can do it better.
Well, everybody can
you
do
know.
everything better than you, though.
Of
That's
course.
yeah,
Well, that's- well, you know.
everyone's got an opinion about
I can do
everything.
anything better than
That
you.
can't scare you off.
It is,
No.
I'm sure
but
people
it is
think
true. You
anybody
make a
could-
decision, and you're on the stage, and
I'm-
everybody
Yeah.
has their opinion about
Well,
the
I
decision.
never thought about that.
It's very hard.
I don't read the blogs after I do a show or something like that. You know, it's like, knock on wood, I've been very well received.
No, I'm sure
But
people
I've
aren't
gotten some
getting
bad
out and saying,
reviews.
I could act as well as Brian Bett, because they don't actually think of themselves as actors. But if they had
Right.
an opportunity,
Right.
everyone thinks they can do everything.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, everyone thinks they can. But you actually can certainly be a politician if you wanted to.
Well, obviously.
And-
Because, I mean,
And everybody also, I think, thinks that they can own it because you watch it on TV every
Right.
day,
And
and,
this-
people talk about it.
and
And
toss in this
You should.
reality
It's
life
democracy.
that's going on, this
Right.
ridiculous, that the reality television, which it is not. I'm just telling you right now. I did a little tiny design reality
I
show.
love Naked and Afraid, though.
You see,
Naked and Afraid. Everyone's got one they like.
I don't. I have one. I'm not. Okay, I will say I watched Project Runway because I had a friend on it, and she was, on it, and it
Oh,
requires a
God.
talent.
RuPaul's Drag Race.
Love that.
Love it.
Another one?
Love
See,
that
that's
show.
not a.
I don't have one, I don't think.
That requires a talent. These ones where they're on like the dating, these people that watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, where they're going like,
I never
and
saw
then
that
they're
one.
supposed to get married, and that's sanctity. Come on. We've come like that is why people saw Donald Trump in their house every night, and like, well, I know him. He's funny. He tells you you're fine. We want a commander-in-chief to his catchphrase is "You're fired."
To circle back to what you were saying before about the issues with Hillary, I wasn't blaming. The thing that I feel about it is that everything that is platform-wise about her has just been overshadowed by all the BS she's had to deal with the other side of the election. That's how I mean,
Very true.
over the
The
last
email
6
thing.
months or so, I've done my best to stay out of the election news and stuff like that. But it seems to me that she's been overshadowed just by the sheer amount of ignorance that she's either had to deny or talk about against Donald Trump, which is what to me is the serious issue. It's like no one's even considering her platform as a platform that they need to know about, which
Right.
And
is
she has the most detail
I
of
agree
everybody.
exactly.
But he's the star. So we're only looking at things in terms of him. He's on the front
He's a
page.
media
He's
monster.
the guy.
He's a
we're,
media whore.
He's the
Yeah.
guy we're talking about, and
He's a
everything's in
genius.
terms.
Oh
he-
no,
he
he
is pretty clever.
I feel like
at
I've never
that.
lived through an
Very
election
clever.
like that. I've only been through a few of them, but I've always
Never.
known even at a young age, you see
This is never-
sides.
I will say this: I love politics. I think it's fun, but it used to be funner.
The joke's over now, though.
Well, because one
This is
thing
not
about
funny.
Donald Trump is that he's accessible, and it used to be that politics was a lot more give and take and not so manufactured by pollsters and consultants, and it's gotten to be so manufactured. It's just not fun anymore. I mean, you used to fight in the streets with leaflets and
Well, maybe it's just
secret
not fun because you've been.
things and-
Maybe you're just sick of it.
Well,
maybe so.
Maybe you need to,
move on.
do something else. What else would you do?
that is a
I want
reason.
to work at Starbucks.
What about you could go work at Hazelnut?
Come be Porter with the mop or rap chick with me.
And I want to go to a class that drag queens teach you how to do makeup.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sure
Why are you
that-
looking at
they
me?
are makeup. I am
You
sorry.
totally looked at me like
that
drag
was-
queens do makeup.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Not
I
you,
didn't-
yeah.
Me, sorry, Brian. I mean,
I have done La Cage aux Folles, but come on.
Well, I suck
But-
at doing makeup, and they are awesome. They're better than women.
that's not a full-time gig though. Putting on makeup like a drag queen.
I mean, it
That's
kind
good
of
for
It
a-
depends on
who you're talking to.
It could be.
I mean, look at RuPaul. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
there's plenty of
RuPaul's made a living
cosmetologists
out
out
of
there that are doing
Like you
plenty
said-
of work.
It could be a good selling point for
Listen.
the
That might
Wait up.
vines.
that like they ought to like do a makeover on on Trump in drag and put him on a
Oh my
reality show.
God.
That's a good. Now listen.
He's got enough hair.
Do you guys would like to play some music for us? That was what I was thinking at some point here.
Yeah,
If
sure.
we don't do it
Yeah.
now,
Awesome.
So
what's going on with
I
you?
want to set this song up because this is the first time we've ever done anything like acoustically. Because we have a 6 and sometimes 7-piece band.
Oh,
we have
wow.
drums, bass, sometimes guitar, trombone, saxophone, a keyboardist, and then when the keyboardist plays saxophone, I play keyboards and I sing in it. So this is just piano, which
So
I don't
this is
even
the
play
first time-
piano on this song, but
Uh-oh.
piano and
So this
trombone
is a
today.
sort of a.
This is the first time we've ever done this version of this song ever.
So
Crooked
it's
Vine.
so it's piano and trombone
Yeah,
combo.
and
That's pretty
voice.
cool, right?
We do so to give you a little bit of preface, I guess, towards the music that we talked about before. We didn't actually get into talking about that, but you talked about our goal, what we're doing. What we talk about, we've kind of branded what we call, like you talked about branding and marketing with Facebook and all that stuff. We started calling what we play funk pop, which isn't a thing, but we've created it as a thing.
It is now.
Exactly, it is now. So we've kind of tried to cross over into the mainstream. Our main goal, I think, as a band in general, is we're all pretty pissed about how shitty music is now,
Whoa,
especially
that's
mainstream
a huge
music.
statement.
Mainstream music is what I mean. The radio,
What's
the radio play.
manufactured.
Exactly.
So,
and we're trying to
yeah.
bring back the idea that it doesn't have to be like that to be good. And there's still artists out there doing that, but we are trying to bring, and especially that New Orleans side of it, that New Orleans painting to it.
It was really cool. We actually just got back from the end of our tour. We were in Ocean Springs, and we just did a writing session with just a little bit, or a few of us, handful of us. And it was so interesting to have all of our different experiences getting into our world of music and then finding each other and then writing together in this way. Usually we just bring ideas to the group, and we're like, oh, this horn line fits over there. Oh, I like this harmony here. But this was just from ground up, like writing together, and it was so interesting.
After 4 nights and 3 days, we had 8 full songs.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of musicians, not just on the show, but through my whole career. And you two talk faster than any musician I've ever interviewed.
I think he rubs off on me.
They
You
haven't.
speak
The
so
drugs
quick.
haven't kicked in.
That's what it is.
They
It's
haven't
pretty late
started.
for me
Do the-
today, so
Do the other 6 members of the band speak this quickly as well?
whenever we're arguing with each other, probably.
It's
No.
possible.
Get a lot
It's
more
possible.
done this way.
Oh yeah.
We could
Or-
get like 3 or
We get a
4
lot
shows
less
We
done.
talked
Yeah.
in circles for about 2 hours
It's also a
yesterday
great
about
lesson
one
in
thing.
compromise too. It's working together. I mean,
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
you're working for the common good,
Yeah.
and you know, if whatever's best of the band or the best for the song,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's going to be some artistic differences, but the goal is to make the best song
Michaela
and
and I
create
talked.
the most best
we
music.
we
you
talked
can.
about this a lot, and I said this thing. I iterate this all the time. The platform. It's all about what's best for. It's not about what's best for us or the band or the music. Even it's what's best for the world. It's what's best for the music community.
Yeah.
So
That's a lofty goal.
I mean, that's
Okay, we'll do something
That's what
good for
we're
yeah.
the world
Let's
and
play some
something.
music.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Pull
we
that
just have
keyboard
to
over
turn
here.
this.
So I'll set up the song while she sets the keyboard up over here.
Okay.
What should I do?
This
Do you
song is called 2020. Like I said before, we've never played this version of it, so bear with us.
Do you want Brian
But,
to sing backup vocals?
yeah,
for you?
chime in whenever,
Jump in.
please. But this
You
song
want
is
to You can teach Brian the whatever his
this song.
part
The
is.
chorus of this song, it's about life, taking you all different places and seeing all the different things you've ever seen, and then using all that knowledge to kind of give back to everything, and putting it past yourself to say that this isn't about me, it's about everyone else around us. Let me get my horn,
Okay.
actually. I gotta get my
All
trombone
right,
to
go
do this.
get your trombone. It's the Crooked Vines. First time we've ever played this song acoustic or played anything
You heard it
acoustically.
here.
Anything. Okay. You heard it here first.
I guess I'll sing loudly.
Do we have to move that microphone for you, or do you want to use this mic?
Here, yeah.
Might use this
We
one.
can share that.
You probably won't need a mic for the trombone, I wouldn't
No,
think.
no, not at all. Not trombone. I'll lean in. We both sing.
Now the mixers, she's just going to go crazy.
He's been walking around in a hazy day, wishing he could see you, baby. Could there be another way to get back to the special place? She lies about the things she feels, never knowing what is real. Looks at her life, sees the things she fears, remembering what she had was real. Life takes us different ways, from living our dreams to hiding our pain. Just know that we are all the same, fighting for a better place.
Well,
So-
what'd you think of that?
I'm not worried about the future.
No, me neither.
Suddenly, I'm not worried about the future.
Yeah.
I think you did a good job for the rest of the world there.
That was
Absolutely.
like I said, that was the first time we've ever done that. So that was
Our band
cool.
doesn't really sound like that, but that was
Yeah,
cool.
that was
It
cool.
sounded fantastic.
Yeah, you got to look out for the record.
Beautiful.
That's I guess the plug section. We just finished the Kickstarter.
You finished the
in-
Kickstarter,
We just
so
finished our
you-
Kickstarter
you
campaign.
got it?
It came to fruition. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We're going to be recording our next record in either November or December of this coming year for a spring 2017 release. It's going to be pre-Jazz Fest. And that's going to be coming out. Hopefully it's going to be 12 songs, but everyone's arguing with me on that, so we'll see.
Well, we got a
But-
lot done this week.
And where do we find you?
Oh, you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram,
Where
on
do you play?
Spotify.
Here in Newtown?
We play at Tips pretty often. We play at Maison fairly often. Actually, we're doing a monthly residency to
Oh,
talk about that with
yeah.
everyone. We're going to be doing a weekly residency at Chickywawa this coming month.
On
So
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays at Chickywawa in October, you can come catch us. We're going to be using that as a lot of our groundwork for performance for the CDs and tracks like that for working that stuff out. So
And tomorrow we're going to be at the Howlin' Wolf. Or no, I'm sorry. Tomorrow we're going to be at the Dragon's Den, and then Friday we'll be at the Howlin' Wolf Den.
Awesome.
yeah,
Okay.
we're playing 2 days in
Beautiful
2 days.
voice. Beautiful.
And we can find you online at what exactly?
TheCrookedVines.com
TheCrookedVines.com.
or
Okay.
Facebook.com/TheCrookedVines.
All right.
Just Google us, and the first 30 results that come up are us. The Crooked Vines.
And meanwhile, we can steal the stuff off Spotify and YouTube.
No,
and
no,
the
Exactly.
pay for
usual-
your music.
the
Pay for your
usual
music.
places, right?
Damn it.
Brian, where can we see you coming up in the near future?
Well, I'm going to be here for a while. I'm doing a show with the LPO,
Oh.
Broadway night with the symphony on November 12th. But I'm here. Like I said, we're moving our store Hazelnut on Magazine Street, a couple of doors down. But you can catch us at www.hazelnutneworleans.com or me at brianbatt.com. That's Brian with a Y. And find out, who knows, I have a couple of movies in the can that might be coming out soon. I don't know. We'll see, And just enjoying being home. And
Okay.
so, I'll be here hopefully through the holidays.
Good to have you
Yeah,
around.
I'm glad to be.
And Sharon Broski, we can find you at Starbucks.
Yes,
When-
Starbucks
when
really
do you
CC's.
start-
I'm addicted to CC's.
When do you start work at Starbucks? When you give, we can't really.
The calls are flying.
But you still,
pouring in.
your company is still rocking.
Yes, the Broski Company.
The Broski
I'm still
Company.
out there. You'll be reading something negative about me, I'm sure, sometime during this season.
So if the building goes
but
up,
go
in the-
Hillary, right?
Go Hillary. And you know what
Okay.
someone
Go
said to me?
Hillary.
If you
Please
have
go
enemy,
vote.
if you have an enemy or something like that, it means you've done something
Yeah.
with your life. You know what I mean? I hate to. It's,
Let's
sad,
hope.
it's horrible, but it's
you
like
don't want people to hate
Didn't
you.
Aristotle say
Well,
that?
no, no matter what, someone's going to disagree. The people, either you're in the parade having a great time, or you're on the sidelines going, I wish I could do that. I like being in the parade.
I do too. Well, thank
All
you.
right.
I like that.
On that
I will
note,
remember
That's a great
that.
note to end on.
On that
Yes,
note,
let's
that's
be in
our
the
happy hour.
parade.
Thanks to Michaela Braun and James Keane from the Crooked Vines.
Thank
to
you.
Brian
Thanks so
Batt
much.
and Sharon Broski.
Thank you
That's
very
happy
much.
hour. Our show is produced by Graham DePonte.
Thank you.
Right
Graham.
over here. Our technical director is Thomas Walsh. Christian Unruh is our music director, and our live feed directors are Asher Griffith and Grayson Jennings. I think Ash is away today, but Grayson's been holding down the fort. Thank you very much for that. Our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for about 60 minutes, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com. We can also hear some other shows we make here. There's plenty more happy hours up there, as well as Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti live from Commander's Palace, True to the Game, with the very funny Chris True, Midnight Menu +1 with Margot Moss, and the man who ate New Orleans, Ray Canata, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tucker, Milo's Music Parlor with Kim Vu, and the podcast about death, simply called Death the Podcast, with psychologist Dr. Ariane Alfant, as well as questions from the waiting room with psychiatrist Nick Pajic, and the inimitable Psych Ward with Dr. Ross Shields. You can find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and It's Baton Rouge, LA. You can keep up with us on Facebook and Twitter and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. On all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook page. Those photos are taken today by Alison Moon. If you listen to this show on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment to rate and review us if you've got a moment. That helps other people find us. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. You might have discovered or noticed that Andrew Duhon is not here. He's on the road. He's somewhere across America for the next 12 weeks, I think. So you can find him at andrewduhon.com and go see him in the town near you. Maybe it's Pinckneyville. What state is that in again?
At the grandstand, guys, right at the fairgrounds. No, it's in Illinois.
In Illinois. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For everybody around the table here at Wayfair and back at our offices at INO Broadcasting. Thanks for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here again next week on Happy Hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll sound a lot better with the music.